All right, folks, welcome back. And the regular season of the NBA is picking up very soon. As you can see, the Knicks schedule starts opening day at Memphis on the 19th. And what I wanted to do today is kind of give a little breakdown and just give my thoughts, opinions, and kind of just riff a little bit about the schedule. So I'm going to be looking at the schedule, just kind of touching upon and see what happens. As we look at October, we have three home games. We're at Memphis, Milwaukee, Cleveland. Okay, not too bad. We're kind of setting things up. We have three East teams that we could potentially beat. Cleveland might be a little difficult. Milwaukee might be a little difficult. Memphis, but you kind of can't sleep on anybody because you never know what's going to happen. I could probably see one, two, three, four, five, 6 games. Hey, I could probably see the Knicks going about 2-4, 3-3, or something like that. We could probably beat. Well, then again, we can't say anything about Orlando because they beat us a bunch of times. If we go 500 in October, I wouldn't be too upset. Now, as we go to November, see what the skinny is on that. Let's see, Atlanta at Philly. And then the next, so we have a back to back Philly, Boston. That might not be good. 7 at Minnesota, at Brooklyn. So we're kind of home. You could say that we have two home games on Wednesday, November 9th and Friday, November 11th. Actually, and then three home games. Maybe we can get a one up on Detroit. I wouldn't sleep on Oklahoma City. The only thing that they're really lacking right now is just like proper star power. And because they're so young, they may not understand late game situations or things like that. But I wouldn't sleep on OKC at all. Atlanta might be a little weird. I don't know what that backcourt is going to be like. We'll see. Philly might be a little difficult. Philly and then Boston right after. I could see the Knicks probably winning Detroit, Oklahoma. Denver, we never beat. See, this is going to be difficult. November 15th at Utah. November 16th at Denver. 18th at Golden State. 20th at Phoenix. 21 at Oklahoma City. So we'll start and end with the Oklahoma City Thunder in some way. That's probably November 15th to the 20th. That's going to probably be a rough 5 days for the Knicks. So I don't know. Hopefully they can kind of come out of that. If we could take that Phoenix game and that Utah game, that might help us a lot. We got to be able to try now to beat teams like Boston and well, Atlanta we typically do beat in the regular season. We got to maintain that. But we got to get Boston and Minnesota don't sleep on as well. They've got a pretty decent squad. But if we can beat Boston, Utah, and Phoenix, make sure to get those guys. And then rounding off November, Portland, Memphis, Detroit, and Milwaukee. All right, so a 3-1, three home games and one away game. Hey, listen, if we can knock off Portland and Memphis, let's see what happens, especially that first game. Maybe something will happen. Although we have to travel. Don't be surprised if like we beat Memphis and then go up to Detroit and maybe lose against Detroit. And then a back-to-back. Tuesday, November 29th and Wednesday, November 30th. Now let's kind of go to December. All right. What do we have? Oh, so we get a little homestand November 30th up until December 7th. So 1, 2, 3, 4 games. And then one away and then one back. So 5-1. And then we go east a little bit. Let's see. December, Dallas. That'll be the game to watch for Jalen Brunson's return. And also since Julius Randle's from Texas. If we could potentially knock off Dallas, Cleveland, and Atlanta, that might be really nice. Take that energy into Charlotte on the 9th. And then trounce all over Sacramento. That could be a nice little 4 or 5 game win streak. Because we see Chicago twice. And then Indiana. Maybe not too bad. I could see the Knicks probably having a little bit of a breathing room in December. based off what I'm gathering. San Antonio, Houston. I mean, don't sleep on any of these teams now. But trying to get Toronto, making sure we beat Indiana, maybe making sure we take one of two from Chicago in that December 14th and 16th. These are the things that the Knicks are going to try to have to do. Any back-to-backs? Dallas and Cleveland, but we'll be home, so they'll be visiting us. That won't be too bad for the Knicks. Well, we're hoping not, right? And then we get we're 3 away, Chicago, Indiana, and then December 20th, 21st, back to back. Versus Golden State, versus Toronto, 23rd. Oh, and then Christmas Day, we're playing Philadelphia. So if we can beat Toronto and Chicago, that might fare well for us. And then we go to Dallas. So Jalen Brunson gets to see his old team twice in the same month. So I can probably see December as a good month for the Knicks. Now let's go to January. Nice little homestand. Do we have any back-to-backs? Yes, we do. At Detroit and versus Toronto. Let's take a look. Oh, we get our first Laker game of the season, which is all the way in January, basically February. Interesting. This might not be terrible. If we could take that San Antonio game, if we could take that Toronto game, Indiana, Washington, KP, we'll see KP there. We got to be able to take Washington. We got to be able to... If we could take Cleveland and Boston, especially in January, that might be really nice. You want to beat teams like Cleveland. You want to beat teams like Boston. You want to ensure stuff like that occurs. December, January might not be too bad for the Knicks unless they go on terrible losing streaks. Because if you look at it, January 13th at Washington, and then 15th we got to go to Detroit. And then come back home for 2 games, 2022, Atlanta, and then shoot up to Toronto, go to Canada. And then not too bad. And then we kind of come back home. Let's see, 1 back-to-back, Sunday and Monday. So let's see what kind of happens. What's nice is January 6th to the 9th, we're at Toronto, and then we get a couple of days off. A lot of Wednesday games, I noticed. Interesting. Okay, so we want to be able to beat teams. We got to try to beat Toronto at their home court. We got to try to make it very close with Cleveland and with Boston, because you consider Brooklyn is going to be strong. LA might be somewhat strong. Got to try to get at least 1 Phoenix game. Hopefully that's a nice little vibe at the beginning of the year. Start off strong. So I have a little hope for December and January. Now as we kind of look at February, and I think we get the All-Star break after the 15th. So so January 31st, February 2nd, February 4th, 5th, we're home. Those might be tough games, assuming that Kawhi, PG are still there. Miami's got what they got, and Philly's got what they got. I won't be surprised if we go on a 4-game losing streak at home. Although January 31st to February 5th, we got to at least take 1 game. That's what you have to do as Knicks fans. And then we're on the road. We see Philly 5 days apart. So we got to be careful. Orlando, we got to try to beat. And then when you're going to a Brooklyn game, you're basically home because you're just over the bridge. February, we see Boston again. We'll see what happens with New Orleans on the 25th of February, because we don't know where Zion's going to be. Okay, I have slight hope for February. Not a lot of games, given the All-Star break in between. So I could see us probably taking 1 from LA, the Clippers. I could potentially see a Los Angeles win. I could see an Orlando win. Maybe if we can rattle off Atlanta, Washington, and New Orleans, that might be nice. We have 3 games at home and a back-to-back 24th and 25th of February. A back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, the 4th and the 5th of February. So something to kind of keep in mind. Let's look at March. So we're home February 25th, 27th, March 1st. 3 games at home. And then we go at Miami, go down to Miami, then up to Boston. Then Charlotte 1 game, Sacramento at LA. Ooh, wow. Maybe it might be pretty decent. Because I think we can probably do something against Portland. Do something against Orlando at the end of March. Houston. Soda, we can probably give them a little run for their money. I think then in March, it'll probably get a little bit tougher. Because we're seeing Boston again in February and then right after in March. And then they're at home. Brooklyn we're seeing a lot too early. This might be a little tough, March. March may not be the easiest one. We have a back-to-back March 11 and March 12. A back-to-back March 23rd and March 22nd and 23rd, but you're going down from Miami to Orlando, so it's just about 3 hours or so. And then you come home, nice little break. 27 and 29, Houston and Miami come to you. And then you end with away at Cleveland for the month of March. Okay, I would say more losses than wins. And then April, which isn't a lot because at that point the season will be over. So we can take Indiana, potentially New Orleans. Okay, so April, let's say pie in the sky. We can win 4 in a row to kind of end it. It might be a little rough. So it's not terrible. You're really looking at December and January for the Knicks to kind of have any sort of like winning type of stuff. And then maybe towards the end if they can do something kind of consistent. But it all depends now. It really all depends on, because it looks like a very tough schedule. Like some sprinkles here and there. And right now, this roster as presently constituted, probably at most a 50-50 team, 500 team. I think that's where we're hovering. Maybe a couple of games under. If we're lucky, 4 or 5 games over. Not too many back-to-backs. But there's a lot of like shooting up and then shooting down, and then we're home for a little bit. And then we're pockets of where we're just kind of away. So we'll see what happens. Early, just knee-jerk reaction, 500. And that might be a little bit better because, we get a full season, a 500 team, better than last season. May not necessarily be better than the season before with that sort of team. But I think we have a stronger core group of guys, which I think might work. So that's what I think. Looking at the schedule, we really want to trounce those not-so-good teams. We got to be careful with teams like Oklahoma City. We got to be careful with teams like Orlando, especially Orlando. We have to try to defeat teams like Chicago. We have to try to defeat teams like Washington. If we want to make any sort of noise, we got to be able to beat those sort of teams. Portland, we should hopefully try to beat. Boston, we got to take. If we're seeing them 3-4 times, we got to take at least 1, if not 2. We can't let those guys get comfortable. Los Angeles, I know they're Los Angeles, but they also lost some games last season. So that tells me that they could be prone to losing. We beat LA, the Clippers last season. That might be possible too. So I think a lot of this season, what it's going to be is, okay, this game is watchable for the most part. Just hopefully they don't chuck up a bunch of threes and try to extend the lead or try to get back a lead when they can just play inside. But that's just my opinion. we got to be able to get a little one up on Boston. And we got to understand that we got to make it tough for teams like Brooklyn. We got to make it tough for teams like Miami. We got to make it tough for teams like Charlotte, things like that. So that's the Knicks 2022 2023 rough sort of schedule look, just kind of taking a peek as this channel gets back to doing its Knicks content for the season. Thank you, folks, for your time. Take care, and let's go Knicks.